Serge Lutens sort of has a very interesting niche. No pun intended, I apologize. A very sort of interesting niche in the perfume world. Um, he's known for coming out with some very daring, peculiar, odd, challenging scents. And as you can tell from the name of this video, the perfume that I'll be talking about tonight has really a reputation that precedes it, especially if you've been lurking around YouTube for a while. You might have seen some people talk about its infamous, um, well, qualities. I'll get into that in a little bit. But the perfume I'd like to talk about tonight is by Serge Lutens, and it is Serge Noire. Serge Noire. Again, little 2 ml decant from 2 ml sample from Decant Shop. Serge Noire has notes of patchouli, cinnamon, amber, woody notes, incense, clove, spices, and ebony wood. It's a pretty bare triangle, but then again, that's about all anyone, myself included, can seem to be able to pick up from this. Serge Noire was created by Christopher Sheldrake, the almost sole in-house perfumer for the house, and Serge Noire was also one of the 2 perfumes in the entire house that Serge Lutens himself was a co-creator of. So he actually had a hand in shaping the way this smelled. The other one being, by the way, Le Serge Lutens. If I had to classify this as anything, I would say it's a woody aromatic oriental. For those of you who have not smelled this, there's probably a good reason why Serge Noire has such a polarizing reputation in the perfume community. Usually when people say they can detect a body odor note due to conspicuous presence of cumin in something, or clove, or another one of those small group of fragrances that sort of give off a funk, I almost never pick it up when other people say they can. I can never get it. However, this is a completely different story right off the top. And I'm talking about when my arm is right up to my nose. I get a sharp, aromatic, bright cumin note that isn't wholly unpleasant or repulsive, but remains pretty medicinal, and it greets the nose as a little bit unexpected, at least in a perfume. As it warms a bit up on the skin, cinnamon and clove begin to make themselves known. The cumin or cumin effect seems to wear off a little bit, and the combination of the cinnamon and the clove gives you sort of the essence of clove oil. I don't know if you ever used that as a kid or as an adult. When you get a sore tooth, is sort of tamp it down with clove oil. If you just smell it, it smells like cloves. I mean, what else can you say? With a little bit of cinnamon in it too. This is kind of the quirky bohemian cousin of some of the big aromatic fougères that came out in the 80s. But it's one of those cousins that really considers bathing a bourgeois luxury. He hasn't had a bath in a few days, and you could start to smell it. But like many bohemians, Serge Noire settles with time into something of just woods and incense, if you give it enough time, leaving the harsh man-funk spiciness behind. There's something about the mixture of incense, cinnamon, clove, and cumin. There must be cumin in here, or some cuminol, or some synthetic cumin derivative, despite its absence from the scent pyramid. That is an interesting cross between a dandy and this stultifying miasma you would encounter upon entering a head shop. The structure of the perfume, which I think bears a lot of resemblance to an aromatic spicy fougere, says dandy all through and through, but the spices are far out of proportion from a more traditional perfume, or are completely different in identity altogether. Cinnamon, clove, and cumin aren't uncommon at all in fougères of the 80s. Go look at note breakdowns for things like Tuscany or in any number of 70s and 80s fougères. But I've never smelled them so up front and center and so unsupported by other notes. The dry down comes on rather quickly, revealing a base of woods and patchouli with still a trace of incense. I don't really pick up any amber, despite it being in the pyramid. I certainly, if you've watched my channel, you know that I am not the most experienced nose around, haven't smelled anywhere close to everything, but I can say that I haven't smelled many things like this. Whether you like it or not, it's quite unrepentant in what it is, and doesn't make any apologies for what it is. Whereas this might seem like something that's big and bold and jumps off the skin for hours simply because of the notes it has in it, I found that it's pretty tame if you give it a little bit of time. After a couple of hours, it's mostly a skin scent for me, as most things are, I'm afraid. For all its seeming brazenness at the opening, it's pretty well behaved with a little bit of time. Sort of like Bohemians, again, sort of coming back to this common theme. As much as it makes me roll my eyes when other people say it, this will probably be sort of a love or hate it kind of fragrance. For me, it's a little bit forward, a little bit medicinal, a little bit strange, a little bit funky, a little bit B.O.E. But if we can depend on Serge Lutens for anything, it's a body of creative, borderline recherche perfumery, and that's certainly keeping in the same line of what this is. Serge Lutens, Serge Noire. Bye, guys.